We're going to go to Sean Rose. I'm anxious to hear what he has to say concerning what went on in the G8 meeting over the last couple of days. Sean, what's up?
Good evening, Adrenka. Good evening, viewers. In fact, a number of things happened in that G8 meeting over the last 2 days, Syria and all of that. But let's focus on the financial services sector, in particular, as it relates to a summit communique called the Lochorn Declaration, which was published earlier today. And this declaration aims to fight, it says, the scourge of tax evasion across the world. Now, there are 10 measures outlined in the Lochorn Declaration, and we won't get into that at this moment. But basically, it is based on the premise that private enterprise drives growth, reduces poverty, and creates jobs and prosperity for people around the world. And it also speaks to the notion of promoting good governance among countries across the world. But one may ask, who really benefits from these measures? And the G8 leaders are insisting that they aim to make a difference through these 10 measures. And we have Prime Minister Cameron of the UK speaking earlier today via the BBC. We have a clip that we can look to and hear what he said.
The Lochorn Declaration that we have signed sets out some simple and some clear commitments. Tax authorities across the world should automatically share information, so those who want to evade taxes have nowhere to hide. Companies should know who really owns them, and tax collectors and law enforcers should be able to obtain this information easily, for example through central registries, so people can't avoid taxes by using complicated and fake structures.
There you have it, Cameron speaking there in the UK after that G8 summit today. And you know that prior to the summit, the UK Prime Minister was very upbeat about promoting the tax, trade, and transparency, dubbed the 3 Ts, and he was hoping that that would be his more or less benchmark for him to catapult into the presidency of the G8. Now, importantly for us here in the BVI, Premier Dr. Smith said on his return to the territory today that yesterday, in fact, via a release issued by the Premier's office, that in the debate about the tax and transparency, now you may recall that the Premier had gone to the UK over the weekend along with other leaders from overseas territories to discuss, prior to this G8 meeting, issues relating to tax evasion and so forth. Now he's saying that in the debate about tax and transparency, the fact that the BVI already has stronger financial regulation for trust and corporate service providers, as well as rules regarding beneficial ownership, than many countries, even in the G8 itself, has not been adequately appreciated. To sum it up, the UK thinks that the BVI is too small to be recognized for its work.
Well, I don't know, Sean, if that's what it means. It seems to me it's nothing but hypocrisy on the part of these large, powerful countries with all their weaponry and their global control of financial markets and their modern technology. You know, that we seem powerless to do anything about their hypocrisy when they can come into our small country and dictate to us what we must do, when in fact they are the ones who really have the majority of the tax evaders and the trillions and trillions of dollars supposedly that tax evaders keep for themselves are stashed in their banks. It's not stashed in our banks, you know. And when you talk about Delaware and New York City, the major financial center, and London, the major financial centers in the world, certainly we don't compare to the tax evaders in those countries, and certainly we can. I doubt very seriously if we could be considered a country where we help people to evade taxes. We are a low tax jurisdiction. We provide services for persons that want to do business, invest and do business in the territory, and certainly we should have the right to do so. I think the Premier made a good statement, albeit a very diplomatic statement, you know, using words like a sentence like
has not been adequately appreciated.
It is not adequately appreciated. I want to get a greater part of it. in the debate about tax and transparency, the fact that the BVI already has stronger financial regulations for trust and corporate service providers, as well as rules regarding beneficial ownership than many countries in the G8 itself, has not adequately been appreciated.
Yes.
It's a very mild diplomatic statement.
Yes.
You know, if he was from East End, he'll cuss some bad word. You know.
Because he's basically saying that the UK, as you said, Delaware, the US for that matter, and many other countries in the G8, we know that the G8 comprises UK, US, Germany, France, Italy, Russia, Canada, and Japan. They are involved in financial services, and they should be looking inward, not outward, to get this issue of tax evasion solved.
We have been talking about this for months now, for years. We, you know, ever since this financial services quote-unquote scandal broke with the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists,
yes,
you know, came on board with their quote-unquote leaks.
Yes.
We have been saying, how is it that Delaware is not being mentioned, how it is that London is not being mentioned, how it is that New York City is not being mentioned. And certainly, you know, those are the main beneficiaries of this type of financial services industry.
It is well documented that over the past 20 years, the BVI has been complying with the standards of transparency, accountability, and information exchange as well, which are very important. The BVI subscribes to best practice on trust and corporate service providers and has since 1990 been regulating its corporate service providers. So basically, there is a very strong regulatory system here in place already.
What's his name? The director of overseas territories, I think, is his title of Max Simmons.
Yes.
Member of Parliament Max Simmons stood shoulder to shoulder with Dr. Smith and said the BVI is a standard setter in the industry. So, you know, I have to check out to see what the real outcome, I have to investigate to see what the real outcome of the G8 is and what impact it's going to have on us before I really begin to...
Permit me to leave this other statement by the Premier with you. The Premier said as well that the Multilateral Convention on Mutual Administrative Assistance on Tax Matters, which is actually enshrined in the 10 measures in the Lockon Declaration, which the BVI has agreed to sign up to in principle, is very similar to the 24 bilateral tax information exchange agreements, the TIEAs, the jurisdictions has already put in place. So it's basically putting new regulations in place that are already there.
Yeah, well, I have to, as I said, you know, I think we need to pay close attention as a country, we need to pay close attention as a people of the country. We need to pay close attention to what's coming out of the G8 summit and to see what the impact is going to be on us. It might very well be that we already are complying with those regulations already, but it could be one small thing in there that could turn the whole boat bottom up. So we need to pay close attention because, you know, the British, for one, is a country I don't trust. I mean, you know, and I've been saying that for years. There's nothing new. That Britain has a very shrewd way. The British have a very shrewd way of disguising their intentions, and I certainly would be looking very closely at what their intentions are, so that we could be alerted and we could be aware of what their plans are. Because I'm very cynical when it comes to their behavior.
Because there will have to be reciprocity. It can't be just for the overseas territories alone.
No, it'll have to be a global level playing field. You know, so you got Switzerland, you got a whole bunch of other countries. Yeah. Anyhow, Sean, that's going to be a hot topic, I think, coming up in the next few days.